So do you have a penis or a vagina, but you're not really a man? These are common questions asked of people who identify as transgender. By learning to be more respectful, trans people will be able to live in a safer environment and have a lower chance of suicide. In this presentation, I'm going to go over defining transgender, honoring pronoun choice, and asking appropriate questions to those who identify as transgender. Let's quick go over the concept of transgender. Transgender, I underline the word gender because trans is related to gender. It's not about sexuality, it's not about anything else. It's about relating to the gender that you weren't born as and transitioning to the gender that you want to become. Cisgender refers to people who are born as a certain gender and identify as that gender, so it's the exact opposite of somebody who identifies as transgender. Gender identity does not equal sexual orientation, so the two concepts are completely separate. Somebody who's trans can be straight, somebody who's trans can be gay or bi. It's the same thing with heterosexuals or any cisgendered person. Statistics. The Transgender Law Institute has said that 2 to 5% of the population is trans. In addition, they say that 20% of all murders are of trans individuals. That's a pretty high statistic. About 8% of people say that they know a trans person in real life. I wouldn't be surprised if that statistic is actually a little bit higher, just because people don't always come out and say that they're transgender. The Williams Institute also says that trans individuals are 9 times more likely to commit suicide. About 50% of all trans people have attempted suicide in their life. Transgender persons are just like any other persons and deserve the same amount of respect. So let's go on to pronouns and name choices. So don't know, ask. So if you maybe don't know what a person's preferred pronouns are or what their name preference is, ask them. It's not offensive, it's actually probably preferred for most of us. Misgendering consequences. If you're accidentally use the wrong gender, you might be outing somebody as being transgender. This could lead to discrimination and even sometimes violence. Here in Salt Lake City, there have been 25 attacks in the last year alone. So obviously something needs to change, and just be careful about what you're saying. Use preferred names. Consider it like a nickname. If somebody doesn't like their name, they go by a different name. It's the same thing with trans people. Just respect their preferred name. And don't use slurs. So words like tranny or he, she, there are plenty of other words. They're all considered offensive. So if you just stay away from using those words and try to be respectful and use the word transgender. Transsexual is kind of a hit or miss word. I would just say veer away from using that word. It can be very offensive to certain people. I know I'm transgender and I personally find transsexual rather offensive. Last but not least, asking questions. Ask questions. So if you maybe have some questions, you're not sure about the transgendered concepts, it's completely understandable. It's a new concept to a lot of people. So if you want to ask a question, ask first. Say, hey, can I ask you a question? What's your preferred pronoun? Or how do you identify? Those are totally acceptable questions usually. No general questions. It's simple enough. If somebody walked up to you on the street and say you're a man and they asked you if you were circumcised, you wouldn't want to answer. The same thing goes for trans people. They don't really want to talk about their genitals, and that's completely fair. It's a privacy thing. Surgery is a private choice, and obviously it relates to genitals and private parts. We don't need to know about these things. It's a personal decision to go through surgery, and it's something that only them and maybe some close friends and family need to know about. Respect, no. So, pretty simple. If they say they don't want to answer a question or whatever else, just be respectful of that. Don't go continuing pushing about things. By following these simple rules to be respectful, you can become an ally of those who are transgender. Take what you have learned and try and be a positive example to others. Together we can make this world a more accepting and welcoming place for all walks of life. So by just following these simple steps, you can be an ally and you can be a positive example for all those who are transgender. We endure enough discrimination and hatred as it is, and one additional person that's being an ally for us is one person that's not going to hurt us. And last but not least, it never hurts to be respectful. Any religion will tell you to be respectful and to love others as God loved them and Jesus loved them. So it's the same thing. Just love everyone no matter what they identify as. Thank you.